Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive.
Merry Christmas!
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons by people who love The Simpsons about how much we hate The Simpsons. We are here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And as always, my name is Dan.
And my name is Jack.
And today we're going to be watching an episode from season 23, which is called Holidays of Future Past. Jack, have you seen this one?
No. Is this new? This newer one?
Yeah, season 23, and I'm going to remember it again. Who suggested this episode?
Oh,
Are you ready?
2 in a row.
We got
New
at
record.
Plum Siren on Twitter.
Thank you, Plum.
Thank you. We
Plum's
have
flirting in a man's hat.
we have at JK Shaden. So thank you at JK.
Thank you, JK.
I wonder if
Relation
it's
to JK
JK
Simmons.
Rowling.
Oh, there's a lot of JKs.
There's a lot of JKs.
Well, there's the 2 and then this guy.
Yeah. So the JK trio is complete.
I love that jazz fan.
Cal Shellstad suggested this episode.
Thank you, Cal.
At Edwin J. Davies.
Thank you,
Edwin G. Davies. Completely different episode of suggestion.
Edwin G. Robinson.
That's
Wait,
right.
No, it's Edward, right?
Yep, that is.
Never mind.
That is.
That's nothing.
And that's it. So thank
Trying
you.
to recapture the gold of that JK trio joke.
You know, it was a moment in time, and now it is gone. So thanks everyone for suggesting it. We should also say happy holidays, everybody. This is our
Happy
Christmas
holidays.
episode. Oh, is this
Happy-
Nat King Cole here in
Oh,
studio?
it's a Bing Crosby,
Yeah, I
right?
know. It is.
Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a big commercial for the Holiday Inn, but apparently Holiday Inn...
I think it named it after
Named
the
itself
commercial, right?
itself
And wasn't it a
after the
movie,
movie.
too? Yeah. It was
Yeah,
the
it is
theme to a movie.
It is a movie, yeah.
But the song was the
It's
theme
called
to the
Happy
movie.
Holidays, yeah. Actually, and the song, there wasn't the phrase Happy Holidays wasn't a thing.
Well, it
until
still
that-
shouldn't be a thing because there's a war on Christmas
It just
happening,
shows
people.
you how like something so like universal as Happy Holidays can come from a movie can make a line from a movie can
Absolutely.
just become like why do you say that name?
It's just ubiquitous.
It's just you like 15 years
Everyone
from now
knows
people
what
are
you're
going to
talking
forget
about.
that that's from a movie. They're just
Right.
Whenever you're asking somebody why do you say
Whenever
that
someone's
name?
name is Martha, you're just, why'd you say that name?
I rewatched Batman vs Superman last week.
I can
It's just
tell.
so stupid.
It's fresh in your mind. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Holidays of Future Past, season 23, originally aired December 11th, 2011. So
It was my grandparents' anniversary, but they were both dead. So
All right. That's
by
a
then.
great anecdote about a date, Jack.
It's also my half birthday, if that's anything.
Yeah, it's not anything. I mean, it's something. It's just not that interesting. I'm sorry. By the way, 2 days later, December 13th is my half birthday, which is
that's my
very
sister's,
interesting.
My sister's 30th birthday.
Well, happy birthday to her and a merry unbirthday to me. This episode is getting away from
I
us.
just realized that our podcasts are just turning into the Tea Party scene from Alice in Wonderland. That's pretty much what's happening.
I think
and
you
our
might be
guests
right.
are pretty much like Alice, where they're just like, I
Yes.
don't know what's going on here.
Yes, we have a guest. We will bring her out later. In the meantime, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch Holidays of Future Past. If you
Happy
guys
holidays.
if you guys haven't watched it, you can do so on simpsonsworld.com or however you've been watching episodes for the past 90 whatever episodes we've been doing the show.
Which God bless you.
God-
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, write in if you've listened to every single episode. I would like to talk to you and wonder, what is wrong with
I would
you?
have gave up at like 7.
7 was a good episode.
I
7 was Pennywise guys. I remember it.
This podcast is more moronic for assholes.
Oh,
and then,
you've clearly been on our YouTube page. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch Holidays of Future Past. It's supposed to be pretty good. All the people who suggested it kind of like it, so we'll see what we think
oh, okay. I didn't know that.
when we get back from this break.
Sometimes I wish strangling your kid was still legal.
Not since they passed Homer's Law. Oh, honey, why don't you just relax and bake something?
Ugh, I am trying to deal with my disrespectful daughter, but you are too clueless to understand what that's like.
So that was Holidays of Future Past.
It sure was, Jack. And before we get into the episode, we want to introduce our guest. In studio here with us, first-time guest, long-time listener, Cara McIlwaine is here. How you doing, Cara?
I'm good. Thank you for saying my name right.
You got it. No problem. Now, Cara, you are a frequent trivia goer for Simpsons Trivia.
Yes.
You hosted trivia briefly, correct?
Yes, in Detroit.
Detroit.
It's still going on.
The city of brotherly love.
If you're listening from Detroit, please support that trivia. They need it.
Definitely.
That's like the one thing they need in Detroit. Everything, it's pretty much a utopia. They just can't get the Simpsons trivia right.
That's right. Absolutely. So thanks so much for joining us, Cara. You came from the complete opposite end of New York City to be with us today.
Pretty much.
For this holiday episode of Worst Episode Ever.
Yeah, why is it called Days of... It's Holidays
of Future Past. A
Because
reference
it's-
to the X-Men
it's
Days of
but
Future
it's in
Past,
the
I guess.
future.
I guess because they pass over a bunch of holidays when they do the kind of montage of the
thin.
holiday photos.
That's
it is pretty thin. And this is episode. I know we'll get into the recap in a second, but this is not what I thought this episode was. And I think I even told you, "Oh, this is an episode where they do 3 vignettes of future holidays."
I thought it was going to be I didn't even know it was a future episode. I thought it was going to be basically a Treehouse of Horror, but for Christmas. 3 Christmas vignettes.
I thought this episode was we go like 5 years into the future, 15 years into the future, and then like 25 years into the future in 3 vignettes.
No,
it's not that at all.
If I had known it was a future episode, I would have vetoed it because I want to watch all the future episodes in a row because I heard there's a continuity. But from what I'm seeing here, I don't think there is a continuity.
I don't think that there is because
Lisa was not president.
They jumped to basically like 30, 40 years into the future,
30.
right? 30?
Yeah.
30 years in the future.
Okay.
Jenda was still Bart's wife, I think.
Jenda was there, but Lisa was not.
Okay, who or what is
That's
Jenda?
why I want to watch them in
Okay,
order.
that's
a
you
thing.
don't know anything about Amy
I
Poehler's
haven't
character.
been watching
yeah.
the
Got it.
craptastic episodes.
We should probably ask Cara, as our guest, it's your first time on the show, what are your classic episodes? Like, what seasons are your favorites? And kind of, had you seen this episode before coming on this show?
I had seen this in its original airing.
Okay.
And I mostly remembered Maggie's airplane gag, I guess.
Yeah,
That's,
one of the highlights of the episode, probably. But
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'm a season 5 gal.
solid choice.
But I do think season 12, I hate to say this, but has a few fun episodes past the golden seasons.
That's what a lot of people in our Reddit and
12
stuff
has
seem
a
to say
couple
is
of good
that like
episodes.
they pass over seasons 10 and 11 and say that 12 had a somewhat of a comeback.
Sure.
I disagree. I think
I like the Simpsons Safari episode. So that's
Oh boy.
I disagree.
All right, so let's get into this episode. Jack, you want to give us the old patented recap?
Sure. So it takes place 30. Well, I guess it takes place in the present. Real quick, there's a very quick opening in present day on Thanksgiving, and they take a holiday family photo, and it's kind of a neat transition to the future where after they take their family photo, they transition. We see all the family photos. I don't know if we see all 30, but we see them in progression. And just from the pictures, we can kind of get a story. We see Bart gets married and then gets divorced, and we see Lisa marry Milhouse and have a kid.
Yep.
So it's a nice little way to travel through. It's a very H.G. Wells in the way when you pull the time chair and you kind of see the future happen around you.
Yeah, right.
And then you see the Morlock like decompose and turn
Yes.
into a Morlock skeleton.
That's right.
So I did like that, and it was I'd say it was better than the Native American casino framework that they had in the last future episode we covered. And so we end up in the future, and it's basically for the first time in a long time, all the Simpsons are getting back together for a family Christmas.
Right.
And it really reminded me throughout the whole thing of a typical Christmas movie, especially like 80s, 90s Christmas movies.
There's
You know,
definitely
the family
Christmas movie
split
vibe,
up.
yeah.
There's like a B plot where you have the baby in the cab and got to go to the hospital. It felt very, very
Right.
Christmas movie.
Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah,
had that
definitely.
vibe. So, and that's basically what it is with your usual smattering of future Simpsons future jokes and
Yep.
tertiary and secondary character one-off jokes. What are they like in the future?
Right.
And I guess there's just several. Every character has their own little arc to go through.
their little arcs.
Bart's estranged from his kids. Lisa's estranged from her kid.
Yeah.
Homer's being a
Homer's
grandpa.
just strange.
Marge doesn't get much to do, and Maggie is in labor.
Yeah. We'll talk about those.
Yeah, the details we
arcs.
can fill in.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it for the episode. Really quick, I want to talk about just the opening. There were 2 things that I liked in the opening credits. The first was the newer credit, so it had the billboard gag, which I don't know if you guys saw it. It was Mr. Burns and Rabbi Krostovsky that said, "Bah humbuggers and Jews unite, or Christmas ignorers united."
No. Yeah.
I kind of thought that was cute.
Yeah.
And then the opening was cute too. It was just they come in and they turn into gingerbread
Yeah.
Simpsons characters, and it played dun 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 dun.
Yeah, and
Carol
Homer
bells.
bites Homer goes, and eats his
Yeah.
own arm. Yeah, I liked it. It was a
It was
little long, but it was
It was
fine.
just it was cute.
fine.
It was Christmassy, and Homer would eat himself,
That's all you
Yeah.
got to do.
as evidenced by the
That's a
Halloween
very-
episode.
If Homer was a gingerbread man. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started. Just kind of the beginning of this episode. We start off on Thanksgiving afternoon, and everyone is fat and lazy after all that turkey.
Yeah.
I've
Bart
been
does
there.
the typical undoes his belt. I like the little gag. Lisa undoes her pearls, and like if her neck fat comes out.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was pretty good. there was a gag with Grandpa. Oh, it actually makes more sense now with what happens with Grandpa all throughout the episode. He falls into the mashed potatoes and he pulls up his face and he has a Santa's beard. And
He has
says,
a mashed
"Oh no,
potato beard, yeah.
now I'm Santa. I'll never die." And then in the episode, he's frozen.
I feel like that's a coincidence.
Do
but
you
that's,
think?
I feel like
I don't
the
know.
writers are too stupid to pull something that off. No offense to the stupid writers, but
No offense to the stupid writers.
Only stupid writers could write an episode like that.
it's funny if you listen back to the very earliest episodes of podcasts. You were the naysayer because you hadn't watched post-classic Simpsons, and you were just like, they're all terrible. And I was really trying to be like, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm a writer. I can understand being in the position. And now I'm just like,
totally-
it's just like
yeah.
they blew it. They just fuck them. They take all the blame.
Yeah.
Those
Well,
assholes.
this is probably as good a time as any to bring this up. So whether or not that Grandpa thing was an actual setup that paid off later, this whole Thanksgiving opening, and then it turns into them taking the Christmas card, and that leads us into the future. It was fine, but I felt like this episode, more than, let's say, like Lisa's wedding or even the casino one, it felt like those episodes established kind of a problem in the present that the future helped solve in a way.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
There's like nothing to this episode, really. Like, there's not really a main story.
Like I said, I think it's a Christmas movie. It's
Yeah.
a family Christmas. I would say, I guess the story is the Simpsons coming together. You're right. There's not like a main A plot.
Like, it's not like in the present, like there's a scene where Homer and Marge are like, like Marge pays lip service, like, you'll have kids your own one day,
Yeah,
but there's
yeah.
not really a fight between Marge and the kids that
You're right.
pays off
You're right.
when we see when they have their
And
own
they had
kids.
that set up with the family photo.
Yeah,
Well, it's because the intro was too long. They had to just get right into it.
it was.
We know about long intros.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. So are you not crazy about this episode? Because I think this is probably in my top 5 least worst episode ever.
I was
Top
not
3
crazy
maybe.
about this episode. I really, there's some funny moments in it, which we'll definitely get to, but it did not come together for me. And I thought, especially because so many listeners suggested this and said, this one's actually a really good one. It was allegedly written to be a potential series finale if
that's interesting.
if the
And with the
contract
Christmas
negotiations
episode, yeah.
with the actors didn't go through well. And I guess I could see that, but I would be pretty disappointed if this was the actual series finale.
Well, we're gonna be disappointed whatever it is.
Well, you're right, but
because the writers are stupid assholes. But,
I would have been fine with it.
did you like this episode, Kara?
I did actually. I thought it had some sweet moments that harkened back to, the original sweet moments that they lost in the
Sure.
intervening years.
Well, the conversation we're about to have has changed my mind before, but here's where I'm going in thinking. I noticed 2 things. I noticed one of my I don't want to say favorite, one of the least worst episode ever we covered. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's better than the Halloween one or maybe the whale one, but it's up maybe top 3. But as I was thinking that, I was like, man, I'm really giving up hope. I'm pretty sure even if I find a good post-classic episode, it's
Right.
just, it's I wasn't laughing my ass off and I wasn't moved. It's just like, I really, I was moved with the whale episode, but I just don't think I'm ever going to find a Simpsons episode as funny as a season 5 one.
Sure.
Not because it's new, but because it's just not there for some reason.
Yeah, I felt we've had this conversation a dozen times before, but this felt like there wasn't really a story here to hang jokes on. It was just a series of jokes.
But even if there was a story,
gags.
we've
Yeah,
had
it's a lot of
post-classic
gags.
episodes with strong story. For some reason, it's just not funny
well,
anymore.
a lot
It's
of
just-
those are just not funny. Like this episode arguably had a lot of funny bits in it, which we'll talk about, but I didn't think, it just felt like Bart's an asshole, Lisa's kind of an asshole, Maggie really has nothing to do in this episode. Her whole storyline could have easily been dropped.
I want to laugh consistently, like the way I watch a season 5, season 6 episode, or even,
Yeah.
or like Rick and Morty, where I'll watch
Sure.
that. I'll watch a Rick and Morty, and I will just laugh the entire time.
Well, it's
I just want one Simpsons episode
It's
like
interesting you bring up Rick and Morty because especially with this one being like a future episode with a lot of like future-y jokes, like Rick and Morty is a show that I would say, I'm so glad you've watched Rick and Morty now, by the way, Jack.
that. I really want to rewatch. I
And
just
Kara,
don't have time.
are you a Rick and
I
Morty
love
watcher?
Rick and
All right,
Morty.
perfect.
Yeah, so I'm into this.
It seems like that is a show, Dan Harmon is one of the showrunners of that show, and Justin Roiland, and Dan Harmon is really big on story structure, and it kind of shows in Rick and Morty. Like, those are A to B to C stories. They're actual stories that then they make funny, it seems. And this to
Yeah.
me, this episode was just a bunch of gags.
Yeah.
And some of them worked, but I was just like, why these things? We've definitely had this
I don't know.
conversation before.
I feel like they had strong arcs. I don't know if there was a main
Really?
A plot, but besides Marge, who I think got the short shrift, I think you had interesting stories to tell. Bart and Lisa being parents that are estranged. I've never seen that before.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, that's what the treehouse scene. Which if I'm skipping ahead,
Sure.
I'm sorry, but when they're drunk and they're sharing wine, like, why do my kids hate me? Why do my kids hate me? I mean, it's a very adult.
Yeah.
Maybe I just don't have a heart today. 'Cause I don't know, that scene didn't do much for me, and I feel like I'm usually one looking for silver linings, like you said,
Yeah.
Jack. And this episode didn't really do that much for me.
I mean, I think all of these things could have been better. I don't think this was
it's just
great.
I hate Christmas. That's what it is.
I don't think this was a great episode.
Yeah.
But it's there. It just needed more. They didn't fuck it up, in my opinion. Like the treehouse scene is there. It could have been better. It could have been stronger.
Sure.
But they were doing it right.
All right,
which
well,
I'm so
let's-
not used to seeing.
Yeah. All right, let's get
It was
into.
like it was like we talk about the doomsday process, and
Sure.
and we're like, oh, we hate these first draft episodes. This felt like a third or fourth draft. It wasn't quite a solid final draft, but it was much closer.
I think I can agree with you on that. Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, what would be the mid doomsday? Like
Dimsday.
it was Dimsday.
All right. So let's get back. We can go to back to the scene by scene.
Sure. So anything to talk about in the present day?
Yeah, there's the whole conceit is then that Marge wants to take their Christmas photo on Thanksgiving Day, which seems
Well, you got to get it out there.
I guess you got to get it out there.
Does anybody do
everyone's
Christmas
their
photos?
worst.
Is that a thing?
Well, yeah. I mean, but nobody does them on Christmas Day. I don't care if the internet exists these
But you
days.
take a photo with you're married or boyfriend?
I'm married.
Okay, you take it with your husband.
We didn't this year. We may try and pull something out, next week.
And then do you
Sure.
give it out to people? You just throw it on Facebook or?
Yeah, well, one of my good friends gave me she handed me hers instead of she saved the stamp because we're neighbors. But it's like she's a kid, and that's still
Yeah,
a
I
nice
do get the
announcement.
I feel like it's when you got a kid.
I got the
that's-
nephew niece ones.
Yeah, that's when it happens.
I've done it with like, here's me and my husband and my dog. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
I feel like, I do have a lot of family who still sends to me. I have no need to do it. I feel like it's because of Facebook. Like, before Facebook, you didn't see updated photos of your family.
Sure, yeah.
Now I I'm just sick of seeing my ugly, horrible family.
Yeah. I'm also sick of
I
seeing
don't-
your family.
I don't need to see another photo of them.
Hey, Jackie boy, why you gonna insult the family like that? It's Christmas.
But yeah, if you're seeing thousands of photos a year, what's one more?
Yeah.
You got a nice sweater on. I don't know.
Yeah,
Now I'm
I don't
bah
know.
humbugging.
I think if you had little ones of your own, you would
wanna
find
show
there's
them
a
off. You'd
probably- yeah,
thriving
right.
Christmas
Yeah.
card market because it's
Yeah,
also
I
an
think so.
excuse to like, oh, let's grab our kids and take a nice
Well,
photo.
that's the
not-
thing is,
not just for
I like
Facebook.
taking fun photo. Like, I like playing dress up and taking a fun photo. It just, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work. And to be fair, to be honest, I don't care what my family thinks.
Right.
It's just
Well, that's why we dress up in full tuxedos every time we record.
maybe we should do a
And
Wii
we've been-
Studios
we've been
family
ta-
photo.
Maybe
I
we
was
should.
disappointed I couldn't wear my ball gown. Yeah.
Yeah. Only we dress up. The guests must dress like slovenly animals.
That's the thing. I guess it would just be the two of us. Our characters can't really
We
aren't
could-
photogenic.
We'll see.
I think Freet would wear like a powder blue tuxedo.
You know me so well. It's what I wore to my junior prom.
I'd wear a tinfoil hat with the pom pom on top. That way they can't find out what I know.
Is Grufik big into Christmas?
That was Bing Crosby.
Oh.
That was my
Bing Crosby, the ghost of Bing Crosby.
Ladies and gentlemen,
He's been brought back from the
Happy
dead.
holidays. 9/11 was fake.
So Bing Crosby also a 9/11 truther.
who knew?
Fascinating.
Didn't you see that Dirt Devil commercial with him dancing with the vacuum? If you
Was
look,
he sucking up the truth about 9/11?
If you pause the eye and the Dirt Devil made a 9/11.
okay. I
and
can see that.
Yeah. It's all there. It's just the dust of the dead people.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going.
Did I stumble into the Truther podcast?
It was a jet fuel powered. There's no
Wow.
cord. If he had a cord, he'd trip. So it must be a jet fuel powered Dirt Devil. All the signs are there.
It's really there, folks. Open your eyes, sheeple.
Bob Hope was his partner in all those road trip movies.
Because there's no hope.
no hope
Now
yeah.
there's no hope.
I believe the writer of those songs was Jewish. If that adds a
It does.
twist
Irving
to-
Berlin. I
man.
believe the lyrics to his songs were the blueprint. For 9/11.
I don't know where this episode is going now. Are we just going to talk about 9/11?
9/11 happened
That would-
during the
that
summer.
would've-
I wrote summertime.
That would have added some tension because it was a December 2011 episode. It was
Sure.
10 years off.
Exactly.
There you go. This
There you go.
episode aired 10 years and 3 months after 9/11.
That makes
there
me
you
feel
go.
very old.
Yeah. All right, so let's get back into it. So we see all of the. Actually, there was
Merry
a joke.
Christmas.
There was,
Happy holidays.
I don't even know what to say anymore. There was a joke before we get to the whole future thing where Homer's like, "Oh, It's a Wonderful Life is going to be on. I wonder what my life would have been like if I'd never seen that movie." What'd you guys think of that
That's
joke?
a fun joke.
It was, I guess it was okay.
If
fake
you've
out.
never
It was
seen, if
all
you've
right.
never seen It's a Wonderful Life, it's about the main character going, I
Right,
wonder
what
what
if
my
he-
life
what
would
if
have been like
he-
if I
yeah.
never existed. So
I
it's-
never
it's a
did see it till 2013. So
I also saw it for the first time in 2013,
Wow.
and it is a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Guys,
You
turn,
watch it as a
turn this
kid?
podcast off and go watch It's a Wonderful Life because it's excellent.
I don't, where did I just watch? It was either in real life or fake life. I can't think now. It might have been
What is fake life?
like on
Are you
like a
in The
TV or in a
Sims,
movie
or-
or something. Yeah, I just heard somebody say you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life. And it's like it's not for some people.
Oh.
Is that fictional? I think I overheard that in a real life
if
conversation.
you're a red-blooded American, I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. Is
Oh,
for
you know what? I think it was a real life, and it was like they were either black or Latino. It was minority people, and they were talking about how it was. They didn't know. They were talking about how it was too white for them. That's
Sure.
literally the conversation I had overheard.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Saturday Night Live did like a if
Yes,
It's
yeah,
a Wonderful
that's-
Life is Jewish.
And there's the one with the alternate killing.
Yeah, I
ending
remember
with
the
Dana
ending.
Carvey.
Yeah, where they go kill Mr. Potter.
Anyway,
Anyway,
there's also
so
the Batman animated series where Batman doesn't want to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I just can't get past the title.
that's
And then
the
he-
second episode of the series.
Yeah, and then he watches it and he's like, oh, it's
Christmas
not
with the
bad.
Joker. Yeah. So enjoy this deleted scene about It's a Wonderful Life.
But wait, can we stop and watch that? Now I want to see it.
All right,
Yeah,
we're gonna-
it's on
we're gonna-
Amazon.
It's
If so-
it
if you
should
don't
be
have that-
available everywhere because it's a public domain movie at this point. It's a
Oh,
Wonderful Life.
it's a one. I thought you were talking about the Batman.
No,
yeah.
I was talking about the
Oh,
Batman.
I thought, okay, well, let's watch both. What a great episode
but
of Batman.
I would like a sync points for It's a Wonderful Life. I think.
Oh,
That'd be
oh,
that'd be
that's not a
interesting.
bad idea. That it is freely
we
available.
haven't touched Frankie Capra yet.
Well, I have. I've dug him up and was touching his bones.
Well, I think the ghost of Bing Crosby was there with you for that.
He might have-
holidays.
Thanks, Bing. Now let's get back into
I don't even know if that's the. And Bing Crosby sang it, but I wonder. I think I might be doing the Andy Williams one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't know. All right, so we see
Andy Williams.
Third encore.
So we see all of the holiday photos for the years between the present and 30 years from now. There's some fun gags in there. Lisa was goth for 1 year. I thought that was
Makes
cute.
sense, yeah.
She had a lot of girlfriends in her experimental
a
college
lot of
years.
girlfriends, and then she ended up marrying Milhouse, which I thought was odd because she doesn't really like Milhouse all that much.
Well, wasn't she married to him? Or no, she in the first future one they hinted that they dated in high school. I don't know.
I guess-
Again,
I
this
guess
is why
they're-
I wish we had watched the other future ones because
Yeah,
I feel
maybe
like she
that'll fill
was
in
with
some blanks,
Milhouse.
but-
I feel like that's been established.
But you're telling me that this Jenda character is
Yeah.
a thing that exists in another
She's
episode.
from the high. She was Bart's high school girlfriend, and then I think she continues in 2 or 3 more future episodes where they get married. Right?
Got
Yeah,
it.
I believe so.
Okay.
I blocked those out.
Yeah, so they're great episodes. I mean, she's not really a presence in this episode. We see
No.
her in at least one of the
Which
photos.
is good. We don't need her. It was-
Yeah.
I like the single estranged dad plot for Bart.
And then Bart has 2 kids, and here's kind of the proof being in the pudding that this episode doesn't come together super well for me. Bart's kids don't even have names.
That's true. That
They
really
It's just
don't?
like
bothered
it's
me.
We
just
didn't
like
miss it?
kid 1 and kid 2. I don't think so.
I
looked on the
wrote, like-
Wikipedia page.
I wrote kid who wears tie and kid
Right.
who
Yeah,
wears
I did.
vest.
I didn't
Yeah.
like that. I wish they were a little bit more differentiated. But their whole plot reminded me of Royal Tenenbaums with
Sure.
Ben
Ari and Uzi.
Stiller's kids and
Yeah.
Gene Hackman bonding with them.
But here's the thing. Why
I
not just
guess
have
they-
one kid? Like, give one kid with a
I
glasses
guess
and tie
that's
combo.
too similar
Yeah.
to Lisa's.
But and Lisa's daughter gets a name, and she barely does anything in this episode. She's Zia, which
Yeah.
fine, whatever. But all she does is go on the internet.
It was the name of the sequel to Island of the Blue Dolphins.
Okay. Today I learned.
You're right. I do wish they had were a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah. But we arrive in the future, and Bart is now living at Springfield Elementary, which has been turned into lofts. Not a bad little future-y thing.
Is there a joke there that public school has collapsed?
Yeah, I kind of inferred that, yeah.
I agree.
Although there's a Sunni son, so maybe not. I don't know.
Right, but I like just how Skinner just transitioned. Like, I guess he just never left, and he transitioned from being the principal into being the landlord of these lofts.
I guess.
And he comes by and he says, "You're going to be expelled. I mean, evicted."
Yeah.
Which was cute, you know,
Did
if you're
nothing
doing
for me,
living in
yeah.
a school joke.
And your geography homework.
I wanna get like a pencil sharpener and see if I can grind coffee beans.
Yeah, right.
I need a
think
pencil
that'll work.
sharpener because I have like 24 pencils and I don't have a sharpener, and they're new pencils, so
That's-
they're just completely useless. I just have wood.
I'm pretty sure that was in an Alanis Morissette song, right? Like it's like
Oh,
like 12
isn't it
pencils
ironic? Yeah.
without a
10,000
sharpener.
spoons and a.
But it's not like a fun 90s medley. It is. Keep going.
It's a free ride. I'm sorry.
You sound just like her.
I've been in an Alanis Morissette cover band
Cold. It's like rain.
called "It's Like Rain," a jagged little dam.
Jackets.
Anyway, so they're in the school, and Bart was watching Virtual Itchy and Scratchy, which was kind of cute. It seemed like that was just one of many, many future references.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're in the future. Like, Marge's cookie cutters use a laser instead of actually having to
They
be pressed
had
down.
ones that worked for me and ones that were just like whatever.
Sure.
That was a whatever for me.
It's whatever, because there's nothing to it, really. It's just like, that's how television is, apparently, in the
Yeah,
future.
but there's nothing to it. Other gags like that were just funnier.
Sure.
Like, let me see. Where do we go? I wrote
What
a
do we
list.
got, Jack?
I wrote a list somewhere. Of course, I don't know where in my list of notes.
While you're looking for that, maybe this is just me.
Oh,
but
the Hardy Borgs instead of the Hardy Boys.
That was
like
funny.
that's funny.
Yeah.
And that's just there, and it's just a future joke.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like the there's a independent Republic of Texas. I like that
Right,
Texas
right.
has succeeded.
Yeah.
Which it could happen. in
could
real
happen.
life.
Nothing made me laugh as much as like Dr. and Mrs. Dre Hall and In Memory of a Real Tree.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Memory of a Real Tree is great.
That's classic.
And I just love the Tin Men. Can't wait to see that play.
Can't wait to see that play. I maybe this is just me, but I really it just brings me down when they do these future episodes and everyone is just so old. Like Principal Skinner was just like crotchety and like, hey, Bart.
You'll be there soon.
I was face to face with my own mortality watching this episode. Maybe that's why I didn't like
I
it
think
so
that's
much.
why.
It's like rain.
So when you remember watching the first one for the first time, right?
Sure,
The first
yeah,
future
Lisa's
episode.
Wedding. Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was what, 21 years ago?
Yeah.
So in 21 years, you'll be in your early 50s.
We've passed that episode in the future because that was supposed to be
you're right.
2010, I think.
Yeah.
And that is like
So
6
there you
years
go.
ago.
I felt like some of the future things are leaning towards latter Futurama too.
Yeah.
But not in a good way.
Yeah, I definitely
There's
got
suicide
a vibe
pills.
Like that, yeah.
The Ultranet looked kind of like New York. They definitely have some dystopian stuff going on in there.
Here's the great notes that I wrote down for this episode. Bart has shitty kids, and Bart is a piece of shit.
That's our
Accurate.
episode
It's pretty accurate,
description. I think that was the TV Guide episode description.
Yeah, I think so.
So let's-
teleportation's a thing in the future.
I'm into that.
I'm
And
into
then
that
they
too. I
straight
wish
up
that was-
used the Star Trek sound, which
right.
I liked.
I like that too. But yeah, sorry, you were going to say something,
No,
Jack.
so let's just go through it. So the kids teleport, like you say, into Bart's home.
Right. Well, there's a gag that wasn't so funny, but then the payoff later I thought was really funny, where they're talking to their mother, I guess Jenda, and saying, "Oh, we don't want to go with Dad," and he says, "I can hear you through the teleporter," and then later on he's like, "I'll just pawn him off on at Mom's house," and they're just like, well, we can hear thoughts now.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I wonder what made them be able to hear thoughts.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen in 30 years. Trees
Yeah.
become sentient.
Yes.
Probably the like smart animals has something to do with it, which
maybe.
also had no
Yeah,
payoff.
yeah,
but-
you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're right. That must have something
That's
to
what I'm
do
talking
with
about. There's just so many things that are just like, it's the future and everything's crazy.
it. Yeah. I mean, the first one had that too, but I guess it was much more prevalent here.
I mean, the first one did. Like, there's throwaway gags about World War III and things like that, but even that kind of made sense because he's talking to an English guy, and the whole thing was, we saved your ass during World War III.
Yeah.
Like, it ties in more than a lot of these random gags. Like,
Yeah,
the pets
you're
at the
right.
end being sentient, they don't even talk at the end. Or they just have giant, like,
Well,
Twilight
just
Zone
because they've
heads.
evolved, they don't have vocal cords.
Like, well,
I mean, Rick and Morty did a much better sentient
Yes.
pet joke.
Where are my
where are
testicles?
summer? Yeah, definitely.
So what happens next? He takes the kids to
Then we see a quick scene with Lisa, where Lisa's married to Milhouse, and I guess this is where Milhouse is going to Michigan because it's under Sharia law.
I like that a lot.
That was kind of funny.
I think
yeah.
that was a really timely joke for 2011.
Sure. Yeah.
But,
definitely.
And it's like a subtle jab at how some people just are so afraid the Muslims are going to take over, which is ridiculous.
And some of them
Yeah,
voted this past election.
Obviously,
Dearborn's a lovely suburb of Detroit. Great Middle Eastern food.
There you go.
I did love the physical gag, the look of Milhouse has to wear.
Burqa.
Yeah, the burqa, yeah.
It just looked great.
Yeah, agreed.
His glasses popping out. I think maybe it just seems to be a tough episode to talk about coherently. Why don't we just take each character and just go through from beginning to end that way, rather
That's a
than
good
bounce
idea.
around?
Because they are different enough.
I do want to talk about. I think Marge was the most underserved.
Definitely.
Because she had a great future plot, future characterization that I thought was like something to build on. Whereas
Okay.
basically she was elated that the family was coming together for the first time, which is a very universal thing where, it's funny how it's so easy to just everybody to be together at the holidays when you're young.
Right.
And then it becomes this crazy, impossible, rare thing.
Yeah,
like
as
I'm just
everyone
trying
gets
to, my
older.
brother and my sister have the same birthday, same week. And just the three of us trying to get together for their birthdays
Sure.
is just like pulling teeth.
Yeah.
So that's something completely relatable. And then the fact that for some reason the mom is always the most excited. There was just an Onion article about it that was great. And Marge literally says she was so happy about it. And I was so like, this is a great Marge thing,
Yeah.
like you said, to
Marge
hang
could be the
jokes on.
backbone. Yeah,
hang
yeah.
jokes on. And then
It's not there
was
at
it.
all.
It never, we never see it again.
In the Christmas movie version of this episode, Marge is kind of the catalyst at the end because everyone's like arguing and she's like, shut up! Like
Yeah.
everyone's supposed to be here and we're supposed to have a good Christmas, and they all come together at the
Yeah.
end because of Marge.
Yeah, and
that doesn't happen at all.
And she should be the one fighting to bring everybody, hold the glue.
Right.
You know?
She gets one good line, I think, when she says, people can change, and your father made lots and
Yeah.
lots of mistakes.
yeah, that's true.
And I did appreciate. Well, we can talk about Homer next. But I did appreciate that he did seem to have some kind of arc where it was like Homer after he's kind of stopped being a jerk, like post jerk ass Homer.
Right. Well, there's a line in there. I think it's the Marge line that you just brought up, Kara, about how Homer was a crappy dad, but he's actually being a pretty good granddad.
Yeah.
Which I feel like
Which is
that's a real.
That's
thing.
another
like,
universal relatable. It happens for some reason to everybody. Well, everybody had crappy dads.
Right.
I don't know if I don't know what it's like having like a really good dad, but maybe they're horrible grandpas. I don't know.
I don't know. It's one or the other.
Yeah, somebody needs to do some research on that.
Yeah.
Do a study. So let's talk about Homer's thing. So Homer, again, like very similar to Marge in that he has this universal Christmassy tropey plot. The bad dad being a good grandpa, but
Right.
we actually get scenes to follow up on that. Basically, where he bonds with his grandkids, and Bart
Sure.
is kind of resentful that Homer's being better to them than he is to him.
Yeah, and Homer takes the kids to see his father, Grandpa, who is frozen in
Which is great because
cryogenic
it's not
chamber.
just a series of, hey, let me take you to this and this and this. There is an arc there where Homer is learning by the way he's treating his grandkids and seeing Bart's relationship to that. He learned something to treat his grandpa.
Yeah.
It's his dad.
I think the lesson is that you don't become a good person until you are really, really old.
Yeah, and you don't
There you
appreciate
go.
your dad until you're just not getting along with your dad is just
old people are great. That's the takeaway.
The
Go
greatest
find an old
generation.
person and give them a big hug today, guys.
They should be studied.
So I appreciated that Homer had this arc, basically with. Where it went somewhere. It's not just him bonding with the
Sure.
grandkid, which even that by itself would have been more than we usually get in these post-classic episodes. I like that it went somewhere. Should we hit up the individual beats? There are funny scenes that revolve around him bonding with the kids.
Yeah, I mean, my
What do you
notes are
want?
kind of all over the place.
All right, so let's just talk thematically each arc, and then
Sure.
we'll go scene by scene.
Sure.
So who next? Bart or Lisa? Kara?
Lisa.
Okay,
Let's talk some Lisa.
So Lisa, like we said, is married to Milhouse. He travels, but they're together. They have a teenage daughter who is more like Bart than Lisa, and she.
Well, she says that, but it's
How do you
seems
know?
like
She's
yeah.
more angsty than Bart.
She's
Bart was more
angsty.
Dennis
She's
the
got a
Menace.
tattoo.
She had a tattoo, which was kind of cool, like changing shape tattoo. Like at one point it was a yin yang, and then it was a peace sign.
Very Rorschach.
Right. She was like, "You're locked in here with me." Why'd you say that name?
I really did not understand that line in 2009's Watchmen, but now I
That's
get
right.
it.
There you go.
Yeah, no, she basically just hates her. It's just straight up teenage angst, which we haven't seen Marge deal with because the kids
Right,
aren't
'cause the
old
kids
enough.
aren't teenagers.
But it's very frustrating for Lisa, who is pretty much this perfect woman, smart and
Successful.
successful, but like she understands human psyche, like
Right.
she's
She's not a piece of shit like Bart.
yeah, exactly. So she should be able to handle anything and have like these perfect little kids. And the fact that she's just so frustrated by this daughter who just hates her for no reason because that's what teenagers do.
Yeah.
It was fun to see Lisa in that position.
I just want to really quickly point out, I know we talk about the gags later, but there was a line from Milhouse that was like, I don't understand, Zia has all the best genetic material, meaning not mine.
Yeah, so she's basically a clone of Lisa.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But
it didn't seem like Lisa has that line like, oh, she's more like Bart than she is like me, but we don't really see that. All we really see is that she just likes to go on the internet.
She's just an angsty teenager.
Yeah.
She's because the show's not about her. The show's about Lisa reacting to her. So she doesn't need to be that fleshed out.
I guess.
The archetype is strong enough, like angsty teen.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, if I think we could have done without Maggie in this episode and just kind of played a little bit more time.
You gotta have the Christmas movie plot.
Maggie was literally Mary. I mean,
yeah. Let's talk about Maggie then real quick. So the whole point with Maggie is it's kind of the same joke that they made at Lisa's wedding where she's a rock star now, she's a big singer, she's the voice of her generation. She doesn't say anything throughout the entire
I do like
episode.
the idea that she's the voice of her generation. That's a cute gag. What I was really sick and tired of was her opening her mouth to speak and getting cut off.
Yeah.
It was funny the first 2-3 times in the season 6
right,
episode.
It's season 6, but now it's season 23 and they haven't evolved at all.
It's really like, it's just, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come up with something. If you're just not going to have her talk in all of these episodes.
Yeah.
I think that, it would have been a great opportunity for a celebrity voice.
You know what would have been great?
Yeah.
How about this? She just had throat surgery or something because she's a singer. My dad's a singer. He had like throat polyps and he has surgeries all the time. So they had to put in a temporary robotic voice box. And she's
Stephen Hawking style?
Either Stephen Hawking or she's actually being voiced. Like, we got Tom Hanks to voice you. Yeah. So Tom Hanks.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
That would have been
really
and then
cool,
when you get
actually.
to have Maggie talking throughout the episode, you don't spoil the mystery of Maggie's voice. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. You could even have like John
Steve
DiMaggio
Allen.
talk as Bender, but Maggie.
Yeah, have
That would be
Bender.
awesome.
Have Bender do it. That would have been great, gag.
Yeah. Oh man.
Some kind of
I wish
thing,
they had done
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Robbie the robot.
Instead, they do the same. Lisa doesn't talk type thing.
Yeah, so I wasn't happy about that. I didn't mind the plot though, because again, it really added to this Christmas movie feel of her having to need a baby and basically
she's going into labor basically on Christmas, and she's trying to get home.
And it had some of my favorite gags. I had one of my favorite gags.
Well, I would actually say, I thought plot-wise it was the weakest, but I did think joke-wise it was probably one of the stronger ones because there's the whole thing. She is trying to come home for the holidays, so she's going to teleport, and they're like, oh, you really shouldn't teleport if you're pregnant. You need to take air travel. And it pans over, and it's like a Mad Max type situation where there's just like...
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's
talk about this entire
That was
sequence.
great, yeah.
It's funny, at first I was like, is this Mad Max or is this Waterworld? I couldn't tell what they were spoofing.
Yeah.
And now it makes me realize that Waterworld is such a ripoff of Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so this joke is great. So besides...
Just Australian people with mohawks in the sky with like hot rod
and
airplanes.
this is before Fury Road had come and made Mad Max relevant again. So obviously the animators and the writers here are just really big fans of the 80s Mad Max movies. So it works just because it's so ridiculous. It's fun to watch. This just very steampunky airport. But it's also not just this superficial joke. It really is a smart... subversive take on actual air travel because even though air travel is the most modern way now, we don't have teleportation. It is this like horrible, primitive, like clusterfuck.
Everyone hates flying. What's the deal with flying?
So like the fact that it's such a smart metaphor to do this Mad Max parody of an airport, it really reminded me of classic Simpsons. Like that's a great subversive take.
Yeah, of the future gags, this is the one that said the most about something in present day.
Exactly.
It's not too much of a jump to think of air travel devolving into this Mad Max Thunderdome type situation.
It's not just a parody. It's not just Nelson dressed up as 80s Biff. It's a Simpsons. It's a smart Simpsons gag.
It's also it felt like a rich versus poor, but that's
it's also got the classist
that's the
stuff
thing.
that's
Just today,
classic Simpsons.
flying. If you're rich, you get the first class, and if you're poor, you sit in the back like a goddamn animal, and it's terrible.
It just really was like a vintage classic Simpsons type sequence, and it was just so much fun.
And it was funny. It was just funny, great visuals, and it was
especially the guy who zooms up to like, can I get a pillow?
he just gets shot in the
If
face.
he has his own flying machine, why does he
need the airplane?
Well, because they can just hold. They're just holding the exit doors open.
That's true. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of other gags from the sequence, but it was just a lot of energy to it. It was just really fun.
Yeah, and another one that was from the whole Maggie arc that I liked. She gets to Springfield. She gets in a cab with Kearney, who's like, "Hey, didn't I go to jail with your brother?"
Well, why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he be like, "Wow, you're Maggie Simpson, like super voice of a generation"?
Yeah, the rock
Yeah,
star
yeah.
that everybody knows. Good point.
Well, he's not her generation. He's,
He's
20,
also
30
like,
years older.
He's 60.
That's true. But I like Kearney is like, "Oh, you're going to labor, computer hospital," and the computer like it has a self-driving car.
Yeah.
It takes him to the computer hospital.
That was
That
such
was
a
very
funny
funny.
joke, and it's ahead of its time because this is 2011. Siri hadn't really been a thing yet, and like
Yeah.
I feel like that misinterpretation of a search term has become much more prevalent now
Sure.
with digital assistants, where they just literally take you at your
Yeah.
word and don't give you what you want. It
Yep.
was great. Oh, it was such a brilliant. That was my favorite joke of the whole episode.
It was up there for me for sure. Computer hospital. I loved it. All right, so should we talk about Bart a little bit more?
Yeah, so Bart's really more tied into the Homer plot because he's basically just watches the Homer plot from a distance and is just kind of jealous that he doesn't get along with his kids.
Yeah, and that kind of is what didn't work for me. Like, it seemed like Bart was, oh, my kids don't like me, but he never really tried with the kids.
Right.
And I guess at the end, that's what he kind of learns is, I need to actually put in some time with my kids.
Yeah, this is where
But it felt a little weak to me.
This is where the weak characterization of the kids really hurt Bart because
Yeah.
why don't they like Bart? They seem to be, because this doesn't seem to fit with the agenda I know from the previous episodes, but they seem to come from a more upper class, refined upbringing where Bart is kind of like a schlub and a deadbeat, and they're better than him.
Yeah.
And that's why there's this disconnect between them, which it didn't really. I don't know. You're right. It's Bart. The disconnect should have been more personal.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, there was just not enough. Like, there were no stakes. I didn't really, Bart wasn't trying and failing to be a good dad. He was just a piece of shit, and the kids were pieces
What
of
did
shit.
he say when they were teleporting and they overheard him that he didn't want the kids to come?
Well, that was the kids saying
They
they
didn't wanna
didn't
go.
want
Oh,
to
they
come to
didn't
him.
want to come. So was Bart excited to see his kids?
No, because
No.
he was going to pawn them off on Marge.
Yeah, see.
So that's why it's like if neither of them wants the other,
Right,
it's
right.
lazy when at the end Bart is like,
Bart should-
we should all be a family.
Bart
or
should have been
something.
really excited to see his kids and
Yeah.
almost do the opposite of the Lisa plot where he's like, hey, let's go do kid things. Let's go throw, like a spoiled coleslaw at the house. And the kids are like, Dad, that's immature.
And the kids want to read and do math
Yeah.
or something.
Ooh, this could have been a much better Bart arc.
Yeah.
right there. Yeah.
Sometimes we have good ideas. Sometimes we have terrible, terrible ideas that no one should listen
like
to.
Freet.
Well, was Agnes Skinner in one of the cryogenic?
She was. I noticed her in the background, and Superintendent Chalmers I saw was also
saw
there.
Cat
And the
Lady.
cat lady, yeah.
Was the okay? We'll get there, but the snowing thing was. I
It's
don't know.
creepy.
Was that supposed to be gross?
I think so,
was
right?
I
It's
don't
her
know.
essence being.
Is that what it... I don't know. It was weird. Cryogenics freaked me
It's
out.
like- I got nothing to say about that. Yeah.
I got nothing to say about it.
How is that like Bart logically thought like, oh, Dad would take the kids to go see Grandpa? That's how. I mean, he's like, it's kind of nice. He's running all over where he thinks Homer would take him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. The whole Bart thing, it just felt rushed to me. Like, it didn't. I don't know if there was like a scene like, let me go find the kids. Oh, they're at the cryogenics lab with Dad and Grandpa.
Of course, because that's he doesn't drink anymore. That's where he'd hang out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because he went to Moe's. Well, I guess we'll get to
Well,
that.
yeah. Well, let's talk about that now. So there was a runner throughout the whole episode that Homer had given up drinking, and apparently he was now making ships and bottles. And
Yeah.
there was a kind of funny joke where he finishes one, and he's like, "I want to I'd smash them all if I could have a drink."
Yeah.
But they're like literally working tiny little ships. They're
Yeah.
flying. That's when did Homer get so much smarter?
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
Or is it
sure-
nanobots?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure that the technology does most of the work.
Sure.
I
Model
guess-
kits have vastly improved in
Exactly.
30 years. But there's a scene where Bart goes to Moe's looking for Homer, and he's like, I know Dad doesn't drink, but maybe he comes here to hang out. And Moe is like, sometimes he does, because he wants to see Lenny and Carl. And this was the epitome of a future gag that had made no
yeah,
sense.
This is like, hey, what's something that
it's
would
the
happen?
future, and everything's crazy!
And
can-
here's
you
our
can-
Springfield
You
characters.
can switch
Yeah.
trains now.
Yeah, so Lenny and Carl have switched
Yeah.
brains, so it's Lenny talking out of Carl's body, and vice versa.
The premise of that works for me. I like. What is the ultimate evolution of the Lenny and Carl relationship? They become each
They
other.
become one
But
another.
it went on forever. It did nothing for me.
Well, I would have liked to see a whole. I'd like to see what happened there with Carl's wife or Lenny's
the monkey?
Wife. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
There's a whole spinoff there. They were going
They could get a miniseries
They were
out
going
of
to
that.
spin off The Simpsons back in the 90s to Springfield and just do an entire sitcom
Yeah,
about all
right.
it. Maybe the true spinoff should just be linear calls switch bodies in 2044.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have that much to say about the scene, but that gag wasn't the strongest for me.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people, there were a lot of dead bodies and Moe's. And,
I'm
Yeah.
impressed Mo was animated with that much hair left, I guess.
Yeah, he had lost some, but not all. 30 years, that's pretty
I
good.
like that there aren't rape jokes, like future rape cult jokes. It's like, in the future, rape is easier. I don't know. Like,
I'm raping someone right now.
Yeah, I just got
Oh,
arrested
God.
for cyber rape. I'm glad none of that was there.
They showed a lot of restraint on the rape jokes.
Always
boy.
good for always good with Mo.
Yeah.
Oi! Can I get a pillow for my head?
So that's pretty much it for the themes. We could either talk about the climax, or we can now go scene by scene, just talk about the jokes we liked and didn't like.
Here's a joke I really like that we skipped over from the beginning. It's when we're first seeing Maggie in London, and there's a shot of the Benny Hilton, and it's just a Benny Hill person just chasing a scantily
And
clad
that
woman
doesn't
through
even
the
need
doors.
to be a future joke. I mean, that
Yeah,
could be a
that's
Simpsons
just-
Go to London
That's
joke.
just a joke, and
Yeah.
it was very funny.
I mean, you got the Benny Hill music. It
Yeah,
does
that's-
99% of the work for you.
It's in my head right now.
Yeah, it's in all,
We're all
it's
playing
in
it.
all of your heads.
We're all playing it.
Yeah, and that really worked for me. I like that a lot.
Well, I like the I don't know why this is not very Simpsony, but future-y, like thinking robot doctors or computer doctors.
Sure, yeah. So there's a Hank Azaria voiced like robot doctor who's actually kind of like a midwife for Maggie.
I should say I don't like that. I don't want robot doctors in the future, but
No, they're probably a lot more competent than human doctors. No offense to our human doctor listeners. Sorry,
Yeah.
Mike. But the robots are
yeah,
better.
my brother and dad are doctors, so I'm pro human doctor
There you
all
go.
the way.
Well, I feel like we'll probably get human doctors using
Robot
AI
PAs,
in different
though.
ways.
Sure.
Yeah, probably. Sure.
Except when they use their robot assistant and they go computer hospital.
That's true.
You don't want the thing just taking out your spleen.
Soon every hospital will be a computer hospital.
But back to that, why did anyone in whatever future year that is have a computer when everyone's getting brain mail?
Yeah,
That's true.
There's not a.
It doesn't
inner
tie
logic.
together as a sentient, a sensual. No, not sensual.
You'll get there.
Sensible
Yeah.
future. A
Sensate.
sentient, sensual, sensible future.
Is that our title?
Maybe. It might be.
Well, majority of our episodes
Sensible
start with
planning,
S.
sane tomorrow.
There you go. Speaking of that Maggie scene with the robot doctor, it was kind of just a throwaway in the episode that they didn't know who the father was of Maggie's baby.
It was a Christmas joke. Well,
Oh, you're right. Okay, that's so later
I didn't
on they
get
can
that.
have the thing like, oh, we'll have a star in
Yeah.
the east for the blah blah blah.
we can put you in the mangier wing. I mean,
I like that.
What did you guys think of
Instead
that?
we got to put you in the manger. I mean, the manger wing. I thought that was a fun joke.
It was okay. It's just like, why? But why are we setting up Maggie to be like Mary?
Yeah, that went nowhere. Why
Like-
is she Mary?
oh crap, we have to put Maggie in this, obviously.
Yeah,
What
right.
could
Oh,
she
it's a
do?
Christmas episode. Let's just like reference the
Her
birth
name
of Christ.
starts with M.A. It's just-
There you go.
that's how I
it.
base my religions.
So they could do the pacifier joke with her and have Dr.
Yeah.
Hibbert as Geordie LaForge.
Yes.
Yeah, so
which is a great
I
visual.
like that Hibbert was Geordie LaForge because we've seen Hibbert in all these flashback different time periods. You know, he's Mr. T in the 80s. He's got the fro in the 70s.
Right.
I love that in the future. He's got the
He
Geordie
just becomes
visor.
Geordie LaForge.
I also, it's my dream, and don't steal this if you're listening to this, it's my dream to one day buy a Scotty dog and name him Geordie LaForge.
Nice.
So one day.
You should one day.
I hope that comes true.
I'm gonna steal that. I think.
No, don't do it. Mug Costanza.
Soda, yeah.
What's wrong with soda? All right. Also, this was pretty good when Homer asks Marge, "Do you want to have some future sex?" And Marge says, "Why are you calling it future sex?" And he says, "Oh, I mean a week from now when the new penis gets here."
I love the line when the new penis gets
Yeah,
here.
I thought that was funny.
We will have seen better penises. Is that
Yeah,
the
I guess
future
so. I
perfect
guess
of our
so.
penis bit
Absolutely.
Maybe it's South Park and not real life. They grew a penis on a mouse. I don't know.
in fake life?
That was
fake life.
that was on South Park.
It was
They
an
grow an
ear
ear on a
in real
mouse
life.
in real life, yes. But South Park grew a penis on a mouse.
Which is just a funny visual.
Yeah. And then there's another gag with Marge says, I'm getting a B-mail, a brain email, and it's from the kids, and blah, blah, blah. That sets up the whole plot. But then there's a gag, and it didn't go where I thought it was going to go, where Homer gets spam B-mail, and he opens it up, and Marge is like, no, don't open it. It's a virus. And then he opens it anyway, and he just goes like, blah, 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 and then it cuts to black. That's the end of the act.
Yeah.
I thought if you're going to do this kind of hackneyed, like, email spam joke, and he's going to get a virus. He should have gotten sick after he opened it,
Yeah,
like
like-
a literal
yeah.
virus, like he got a cold from a brain email.
Because the joke is basically, the B-mail still has virus. It's such an easy
it's such
joke.
it's an easy hackneyed joke.
It needs something on top of that. Yeah.
Right, but and him just going like, blah, 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 like that's
Yeah,
nothing.
that's
What- I
nothing.
don't know what that is.
It really fell flat. It
Yeah.
just.
Sometimes they don't end on the strongest act break jokes anymore.
No. Well, it's because they don't begin or middle with them either.
Al Jean, if you're listening,
You stupid
you're,
asshole.
you're not listening.
I blame Matt Selman. I really do.
they should all be killed.
Oh no!
No?
That's
Is that
too
too
far.
much?
That's
too
too
much?
far.
I thought in Trump's America that was okay.
Oh god, it might be now. All right. So yeah, what else? What are the things do you guys like? We're in the second
so
act.
here's a future gag I really liked that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
And it's not doesn't tie into the story, whatever, but it's funny. The dehydrated recipe.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that.
It's a very future tropey joke for there
was
to
a
be
good
dehydrated
fake out,
pills.
yeah.
And
Yeah, it
you,
was a good
you-
fake out,
You
perfect.
create the food. Yeah. And basically, the fake out is she's just making the recipe and then she makes the food the old-fashioned way.
Right.
It's great. I loved it. It has nothing to do with anything, but it was just funny.
Yeah, the pill didn't turn into the cookies;
Yeah.
it turned into the
That
recipe.
exact
Yeah.
joke could have been in the season 6 Lisa's wedding episode.
You know what else this was not a future joke, but it's a joke I did like where Bart has his kids in the house and they're at the tree and they're talking. They tell him that Jenda got remarried and he kind of gets upset about that. And then Homer comes in and they're like, "Oh, are you about to build a snowman?" Because he's carrying a top hat, a scarf, and a carrot and a pipe. And he just goes, "No, I just like to get dressed up when I eat my carrot and smoke." I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So in the future, marijuana is clearly legalized across all 50 states.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah,
It was cute,
I liked it. There was also with these future episodes, they like to visit the secondary and tertiary Springfield characters and see what is the future version of them.
Sure.
And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. The season 6, it's great when Mr. Burns has been frozen. My
Right.
legs haven't thawed
17
yet.
Yes.
stab wounds.
Yeah, like that's funny.
Yeah.
In this one, Lenny and Carl. The idea of them switching is funny, but we didn't add a whole scene to it.
Yeah, right.
I really loved what they did with Apu.
Oh,
So-
that's not where I thought you were going. I
Yeah.
also loved what they did with
Yeah,
it. too.
Snake is a cyborg robot that still holds up the Quickie Mart.
Right.
Fine, whatever. But
Cashless society. That was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's a funny joke, yeah.
Yep.
And it's cashless society, but he's still robbing the Quickie Mart, and he's shooting at Apu, and Apu goes, "Where's my backup? Where are you?" And his eight kids,
His 8 kids, yeah.
which are all adult. Like I guess there was some women there, right? He has daughters.
Yeah, he's got some daughters.
So there was just a lot of them looked like Apu, and some looked like female Apus and Manjulas, and it was just great to have seen this army of Apus.
Yeah, just like firing on this robo snake.
Yeah, that was great. And then later on,
Yeah.
they double down on the gag, and we see Apu's grandkids, and he has like dozens of them.
Each of his octuplets had their own set of
Yeah.
octuplets.
And they
yeah,
look
that
like
was funny.
the baby octuplets from the present day.
Yep.
And they say, "Don't close the door right; it'll set them off."
Yeah.
And Lisa like slowly closes the door, or Bart, and it sets them off. And there's just like this pause where they all like Apu and Manjula know it's going to be like horrible. It was such a well executed
that was a
gag
good gag. Yeah, I
They at
agree.
least had a bigger house. They had a huge living room for their
for the kids. Yeah.
To fit all 164 children.
Well, you have to, otherwise it would be like one of those poultry farms.
Yeah, right.
I just choose to believe that by this point in the future, like he's franchised his own set of Quickie Marts.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I can see that.
He should be like the head of the Quickie Mart Corporation now.
Speaking of tertiary kind of secondary characters who had little scenes in the scene,
Ned Flanders.
I want to talk about Flanders. Yeah, and
90 and kicking.
Yeah, so Flanders is an old man, and he says, "Oh, after Homer accidentally killed Edna, because at this point they had gotten married in the present day, right?
Yeah, which,
Flanders and Miss
R.I.P.
right, and she has actually passed now. But he goes, I just went back and married Maud's ghost,
Yeah.
which I thought was really funny. And then
Doesn't really have anything to do with the future. But
well, because it says like ghosts now, or
it's-
exist.
There's
or
some
whatever.
weird supernatural stuff going on in
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
sci-fi episode.
But I just like that Maud comes in and is like, "There's no God, Ned." And it's just there's nothing afterwards, and she just goes, "She's so cute."
She's
Yeah.
so pretty.
It's
She's
great.
so pretty.
Nice little atheism joke.
Yeah.
Flanders' denial. Yeah, solid.
Yeah,
I think they could have had like a visual gag of what Rod and Todd look like now, maybe.
we could have, but there was one. Was it the casino one where Lisa's president, where they cut to Rod and Todd?
Yeah, they had
and
the
they're
mustaches.
that's
and-
right.
clearly gay and washing the car.
Yeah.
yeah.
They looked like 80s Joe Piscopos.
Right. But we could have seen something there, like maybe even Flanders ignoring their lifestyles.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I don't know. Not necessary,
It would have been
but-
icing. It wasn't
Yeah.
necessary. I liked. What did I like? I liked.
What did you like, Jack?
So there's a Mr. Burns joke where they're bothering Mr.
Yes.
Burns, and he goes, "Release the hounds!"
Oh, that's
and
so
Smithers just comes
sad.
by and
A box
overturns
labeled hounds.
and it's just a box of old dog bones, skeleton bones.
Oh,
Which is a really
sad.
funny joke. Release the hounds, and those are the present day hounds. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to think he just would have had bought new hounds.
Back up for a minute. 'Cause
Yeah.
we stopped, and you mentioned like Flanders is 90. How old would Mr.
Mr. Burns
be?
would be 144.
Yeah,
no,
he'd be up there.
He'd be real old.
He wouldn't be that much older than his mother was in the present timeline,
True.
right?
That's
and
true.
he's younger than Grandpa,
Good
apparently.
genes. Yeah, that's true. Well, the grandpa was frozen, so he was
Yeah,
his current
yeah.
age. But yeah, the Release the Hounds thing, dark, but very, very funny.
Yeah, it was great. I don't know why he doesn't get more hounds or robo hounds, but
Yeah.
not for me to judge on my judgy podcast
I mean,
where I
you,
judge.
you wanted to see another robotic Richard Simmons. Don't lie.
That's true.
you
We
know.
know you, Jack.
It's like looking into a dark mirror.
All right, let's talk about. I think this is kind of where we are in the episode. The scene with Lisa and Bart in the treehouse, kind of drinking some wine, and they kind of have a little heart to heart there. You guys seem to like this. On the Wikipedia page, a lot of critics seem to think this was a really good emotional scene. I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it, to be honest.
It hit home for real life.
You like
real
to go to
tropes.
tree houses and drink wine, right?
If I had a treehouse in Manhattan, sure, I would.
It'd be fun to have a treehouse in Manhattan. Well, this would be in
Isn't that,
Central Park.
isn't that like a famous play? Treehouse in
Treehouse in
Manhattan.
Manhattan.
Treehouse grows in Manhattan.
Yeah, sure.
In Central Park, yeah, I hit
Yeah.
it.
I'm surprised Central Park doesn't have tree houses.
I
That seems
just
like a very...
I just like drinking wine.
Yeah, I do like wine.
I also like
I don't
wine.
know,
and
I don't think
I like
treehouses.
seeing drunk Lisa.
I did like seeing Drunk Lisa.
I didn't like
'cause
the
that's-
voice acting for either of them. I thought it was
Yeah,
too
Bart's voice was
cartoony.
weird.
Yeah,
It's too over the top. It was too, I'm playing drunk.
Yeah, I mean, Nancy Cartwright is great for 10-year-old Bart, but I feel like anytime they do a future episode, it doesn't work as well for me, especially the drunk acting.
Yeah, drunk acting's tough.
Drunk acting is tough. Yardley Smith wasn't terrible. I kind of, because we've never seen Lisa drunk before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've sort of seen Bart drunk.
Yeah.
At
We've
least
seen
in that St. Patrick's Day
we've
episode.
seen Lisa,
What are you
Lisa
looking at?
hallucinating on ride water.
True. She is the Lizard Queen.
I think critics like this because of the same reason we liked it. It's better than we usually get from post-classic Simpsons, and the fact that they actually took their time for this scene and they didn't have anything offensively bad going wrong with it. I just thought it could have been stronger.
But here's the thing. There's a scene. There's a piece where Bart says, "You are the person I always wanted to be." That's touching,
it's a little
but
super text.
it's a little super text. I think because there wasn't that setup in the beginning of the episode where it was like
You're right.
there should have been like a scene with them fighting, and
Yep.
that's what leads Marge to be like, "You two, when you have kids of your own, like just 1 minute
How
of
about
work
this?
in
Yeah.
the beginning
How
to
about
pay
they
that
both
off."
piss off Marge in some kind of way? They hurt Marge's feelings, and Lisa
Right.
calls Bart out on it. It's just like you should treat Mom better than that. She does this,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Well, you just did this. By not." Celebrating Christmas
Right.
or whatever by being a Buddhist,
Yeah.
you're hurting Mom in your own personal way, and then
You'll see.
Yeah, something there. You're
Yeah,
right.
there's-
You're
there's-
100% right. That should have been there.
Yeah, because I think that's why I wasn't crazy about the scene. I was just like, okay, this doesn't feel earned. It just, it's
Yeah.
sweet that Bart's saying like, "You're the one I always wanted to be like," but why?
You're right. I think the blueprints were there. It
All
could
I
have been
wanna hear is
stronger.
that I'm
and-
right,
and it
Jack.
should have been
That's all
earned.
I wanna hear.
You're right. You're right.
That's
Thank
why
you.
it didn't win an Emmy that year.
That's
You're,
right.
You're the opposite of
I won an Emmy that year.
you're the opposite of Ellen DeGeneres' love interest in her hit '90s movie Mr. Wrong.
Another kind of secondary character future beat was with Patty and Selma. They come in with robot lovers who then immediately leave them
This did nothing for me.
for
It did
each
not
other.
work.
It didn't work at
It
all.
went on
right?
forever. Yeah, no, it really stopped the whole episode cold. I
Yeah.
like the idea. It could have been incorporated better.
I like the idea too. Maybe we had seen them in an earlier scene, like really in love with their robot lovers,
And then later
at
on,
the
they're
end,
not
they
there.
leave
Like,
them.
you
that's
don't
not
even have to see
much,
them
but-
leave. Just in the what happened to your lovers? Oh, they left. They ran off together.
Yeah. It was just nothing. It was
I thought
just
we were
like,
going to see something with her kid. She had a daughter by then.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. Well, she's a hateful teenager by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
yeah.
probably plugging into the internet and doing her organic chemistry experiment or whatever Zio was doing.
You know, another trope I really don't like, a sci-fi trope, is when they visualize the internet. It's been done in Futurama. It's been done here. It's been done in the Chappelle Show.
Lawnmower Man.
Basically, when you put the when you put the goggles on, or you're in the internet, basically you walk to the website you want to go to, and everything. Isn't that very inefficient?
You wouldn't walk.
Even Ready Player One, like they have to like physically travel. I mean, you can fast travel, but it's just like, isn't that the whole point of the internet? Is you just type something and you're
you don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. You're just there.
So that said, I really didn't like it. Was just like lazy visualizing the internet. I loved the way they visualize Google.
I like the pop-up.
She starts typing, and all these doors appear with her search results.
Yes, that was
and
cool.
As she's typing, they narrow down to her search. Basically, how like when you're typing into your Google search bar, the phrase gets smarter and smarter and smarter, and predicting what you're going to type.
Right.
It was I thought it was one of the coolest visuals I'd ever seen on the show.
Yeah, I like that, and I also like how she's like bingo, and then it starts googling bingo, and then she's like no arg, and then it just googles arg.
Yeah, like that was
funny. I
all
liked that.
I liked it.
That
I
worked.
didn't need the Dr. Seuss gag. That did nothing for me.
That did nothing for me.
Google is doodles. Whoa.
Yeah, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday, so Google looks like Dr. Seuss.
Isn't that funny how Google does doodles every day?
It's hilarious, actually.
What's the deal?
The Facebook thing.
The Facebook thing, yeah.
I mean, I like the SUNY Sun.
Yeah, as soon as she signs in,
Pluto.
basically she sees, because she never goes into the ultranet. She sees all these like hundreds of.
I wanted to
friend
chuckle.
requests.
Some of the names, like SUNY Sun, I guess it was. Like some of those were funny, but it was
do
just
people know about SUNY outside of New York? The State University of New York.
People know it.
Well, she had Miami of Ohio in there too.
She had a Miami of Ohio of Pluto. It was. So that was funny.
Which is funny, a funny joke on the ofs and college titles. Yeah.
Right, but that was also like it just panned down and took up a lot of time to get through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just to have Martin's Marsha now.
Right. Well, that I kind of liked it because it was Martin Prince is now Marsha Princess.
Yeah.
Just the idea that it's princess instead of prince.
I wanted her
I
name to be
chuckled.
Martine. I think that's such a
Martine would be
Martine's a
better.
cool name.
yeah. So
Martine is a cool name.
if you do have
If your
kids
name
for
is
a
Martine.
Christmas card, just saying.
Martine Costanza.
Yeah, there was a gag too with the Facebook thing. The very last kind of grouping was Simpsons Go-To, and I think it was all characters from Go-To episodes.
were they actual characters?
I think it was. It was really quick, so I didn't get a chance to look at it.
I wanted to look for Pepe.
Yeah.
What he's up to.
Nice little meta joke, but I don't know, that whole sequence really did. Besides the
Yeah,
Google
there
thing,
wasn't,
it did
wasn't
nothing
much
for
to
me.
it. Yeah.
Let's talk about the Ralph gag. So
Yes.
who gets pulled over?
Bart is driving, and he gets pulled over.
It's Chief Wiggum.
Right. And I knew it was going to be, it's not going to be
Ralph.
actual Chief Wiggum, it's going to be Ralph.
Who's surprised Ralph's hair is blue? Makes sense, because Chief Wiggum's hair is blue, but I never thought about it before.
Yeah,
We've
Ralph-
always seen the thinning strands.
Yeah, Ralph did look kind of weird. Animation
He looked younger than he did in the Bart to the Future episode.
Right.
They didn't do anything to his voice, so
Yeah,
Because
that's true.
he's a child.
He's Ralph.
His balls never dropped. So what I like is basically he's like, "Didn't you die?" And he's like, "No, that's my clone." And then he shoots himself in the head by accident because he's an
Dark!
idiot. Yeah.
Dark!
It didn't. Not dark.
It
It's
was
cartoony.
dark. Several Ralph Wiggums die in this episode.
If he,
even
like, if he-
fiery death.
Fiery, burning clones die.
It's so silly and surreal that it had no meaning. If he like shot
Yeah.
an innocent black man in the backseat of the car, that would be dark.
Nope.
That would be dark.
not.
And she's like, "Oh, I'm streaming this live on Ultranet." And,
Well, I would have.
that would have been dark.
I would have
You're
liked
right,
to
it
see
would have been.
cloning better used in the episode. Maybe I'm sorry, I have to go back to Mr. Burns. Like
Sure.
Smithers could have a Mr. Burns more designed to his liking.
Ah,
Yeah.
That would have been interesting. Yeah.
Surprisingly few cloning gags in this. But basically, when Ralph kills himself and then another Ralph shows up, I was like, fine, whatever. But as it kept escalating, and eventually there's another Ralph that drives by, and he crashes a truck, and a bunch of
truck
burning
full
Ralphs.
of burning Ralph
The
clones.
more Ralphs there were on screen, the more the gag grew on
Yeah.
me.
The more it grew on you.
Yeah.
I agree. I liked it more.
I mean,
like,
the sound of them all dying was pretty
It was
funny.
pretty funny.
Because
Yeah.
it's Ralph's voice.
Yeah, it was
Burning in
it was
agony.
good, even though it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to clone anyone, why would it be Ralph
Well, he's the
Wiggum?
police force.
I guess, but why? Why is it? There's no one better. Not one person that they could clone 100
That's,
times.
that's
he's
the future
president.
we have to look
That's the
forward
future.
to.
Maybe he was elected president.
Maybe he was. We
know.
would never elect.
Speaking of president,
someone
so
so
what's the
stupid.
continuity here? What, Lisa wasn't president?
I never want to hear like, oh, we'll never elect so
We'll never
and
elect
so. He'll
someone like
never
that
get
president.
elected.
I've learned now
Oh,
to
boy.
never take anything for granted because 8 years ago I said, Obama doesn't have a chance in hell at winning the primary. He's too young. He's too new. He needs to wait a few years. Hillary's got this in the bag.
Yeah.
And then for each level of Trump, I was like, this is never going to happen. Now, I don't. You could tell me like Colonel Sanders has come back from the dead and is running for president. I'm not going to go, oh, that'll never happen. I'll go, we'll see.
If it's the Dolph Ziggler Colonel Sanders
Oh my
from
God,
like
I'm
the
so into
WWE. I would totally vote for Dolph Ziggler
I don't-
as Colonel Sanders as
I don't
president.
fast forward through that when they still show it. Yeah.
It's a wrestling thing, Jack.
I assumed. But yeah,
right.
no, I will take nothing for granted.
Yeah,
but so,
seriously.
so Lisa is not president in this timeline? What's going on?
I guess not. That was just a fantasy, I guess. That didn't really happen.
We're in the darkest timeline. The happy timeline
Yeah,
didn't
I don't
happen.
know.
They
I
never
don't know.
found Lincoln's gold.
No. Well, that subplot never went anywhere.
Yeah, I just thought that's weird because, like I said, I thought there was this inner continuity to these future episodes, and this one seemed to not
To kind of
be
break
the
with
case.
that?
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
somehow that's more than 30 years in the future. But
No, I doubt the Bart the Future one. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
it does- I
I'm
don't
just
know.
saying maybe that one was just a complete imaginary story as opposed to
Okay.
the real canonical future.
that's a bummer.
What about all these District 9 jokes that they made? You guys
Did
just
it
remember
did it
those?
come out that year?
I think it
guess?
came
Yeah,
out
it came
that
out
year.
2009.
Oh, so it came out a couple of years before.
Well, those
Yeah, it
Korean
was just-
animation studios, they take a while.
They just passed by District 9, and it's literally just like, the Johannesburg District 9
it's
in the
just a
movie. And then
reference.
it's District 10, and it's like, nice.
But
And that was
still
it. But still the bug
Yeah.
aliens.
So you want to reference this movie you really like, District 9. District 9, great movie.
Great
Animators
movie.
like it. They want to throw a reference in because it's a future episode, perfect time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Whereas you really like Mad Max, you want to throw in a Mad Max reference, you do it in the airport. It does work. You got to integrate these
Well,
things.
because the Mad Max thing is a joke. Like, air travel is terrible.
Yeah.
It's devolving into this.
If you-
This is just,
Exactly.
hey, did you guys see District
here's-
9?
yeah.
Exactly. If you
This is
really,
it.
if you love District 9, you want to do a District 9 gag, you got to integrate it. You can't just
Yeah.
put it there.
Ooh, like Bart could have lived in District 9?
Instead of this,
That would have been
Springfield
great.
Elementary. Yeah,
that would have really
that would've
worked
been
for
great.
me. Yeah.
It's just
He's
him.
like the only human
It's him.
in there.
The cockroach aliens, and maybe Mo.
Yeah.
Mo's is in District 9. Mo's that's the bar from there. Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
so much more
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have totally been on board for that. Yeah, and then I don't know. Is there anything else? We already kind of talked about the resolution at the cryogenics lab.
Yeah, we mentioned we glossed over the fact that the freezer was broken, the cat lady's freezer, and they were inhaling her snow.
Right. Yeah.
Also, what I
I
can't.
mean, but she wasn't like being cremated, so that's
I don't
extra
know, yeah.
weird.
It was odd.
Also, this came out very similar. I can't tell which came out first. Or maybe at the exact same time as the Doctor Who Christmas special. That was the exact same plot where there was a dying woman frozen cryogenically, and every year they'd wake her up for Christmas and spend a day with her.
Okay.
And she basically there was this love story over time, every one day a year.
Right.
And it was weird that it was the exact same thing as what they were doing with Grandpa. They wake up
Yeah.
Grandpa every Christmas.
But then at the end, there's that bit where Homer keeps unfreezing and refreezing him like over and over again.
Did nothing
Well,
for me.
it's flash freezing. We've really gotten
Yeah.
good at that
Yeah.
in the future.
They're just showing off the future tech that they made up.
Yeah, was that supposed to be funny? The on off.
And he's like different positions. he's
Yeah,
in.
it
It
didn't work
took
for me at all.
it took the drama out of this scene too, where Homer's. I like that Homer's like, all right, I got to bond with my dad. I get that I'm wrong. I'm gonna bond with my dad.
Yeah.
Let me unfreeze him. Oh, it's just so hard. I really just have all these decades of like not wanting to bond with him.
Yeah.
That was a great. There's something there, and I don't know. I feel like they wasted it with this stupid gag.
I agree. And so everyone kind of comes home and they have a happy-ish Christmas. We see that the pets have evolved and take the family Christmas photo.
I like the physical animation. It looked
Yeah, the
awesome.
way that the pets looked
Yeah.
was great.
And like
I
this
just
weird
wish they had done more with it.
indifference they had
They
on their
look,
little
they
faces.
look like Itchy and
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That itchy and scratchy Planet
Oh,
of the
yeah,
Apes
yeah,
spoof,
yeah.
yes, yeah, definitely. Where they have the big brains. Yeah.
No, I like that. And then basically they wrap it up. And somebody actually says, well, I guess the meaning of Christmas is ba, 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 ba. Was it Lisa or Lisa?
I honestly don't even remember that.
Somebody, they
the
had
joke
the-
being it ended before
well,
they
they
said
had
the meaning of
they had
Christmas?
the happy ending, and
Oh.
then somebody just said it. Somebody goes, "Well, I guess the meaning of Christmas is the family being together as family." It's like, don't say it out loud. Don't ruin it.
Yeah.
Is there a scene? I can't remember. Is there a line at the end of "It's a Wonderful Life" where Jimmy Stewart just goes, "Well, I guess it really is a wonderful life."
Yep, there is. It's in the extended
Time a
edition.
bell rings, an angel gets its
See, at least that's
wings.
not totally, super text. At least that's just
Right, well, because they're not like, oh, that means Clarence got his wings.
yeah, exactly. He's just like, good job.
Because every
Clarence.
time a bell rings, and he was an angel.
Yeah. That's. I feel like they kind
Yeah.
of ruined the mood.
A Wonderful Life.
It's pretty wonderful.
It's an okay movie.
Scene.
It's a great movie.
No, it is a very good movie.
but-
So I thought that kind of killed the moment. What
yeah.
little goodwill they had built up.
I agree with you. And then it
All
ends
goodwill towards men
and peace on earth. And actually, that's
women.
what I wanted to say. At the end, it freezes on the holiday card that year, and it was like Merry Christmas from the Simpsons and the Van Houten Simpsons and whatever it was. And I just kind of like it said, and a morphistic Quiznox to our masters on Rigel 7. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, we're fine.
Morphistic Quiznox is just
And it's bringing
funny.
Rigel
I
7
get- does
back into the continuity.
Yeah, well, that's the very, very start of the episode too, right? Like Santa Kang. Or...
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, and the
see?
couch, and the not even the couch gag, the pre-opening gag.
So
flying by
Santa
the
Kang
Simpsons,
is canon.
There you go. Look at that.
Or Santa
I think
Kodos.
everything's been wrapped up into a neat little package.
Little package then. Do we
A
have anything
Christmas
else?
package.
Oh, is it time to open it because it's not Christmas?
Happy
yet.
holidays.
Have you
Oh,
guys
boy.
seen it's art? I don't know how old it is, but it's like a family of presents in their living room, and like the kid presents are opening up little children.
Oh God, that sounds awesome and gross. I have not seen that.
Kind of wondering how.
I kind of want to
I
now.
kind of don't.
Hey, sweetie. Marge said there was some family tension. And at Christmas of all times.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to say about Holidays of Future Past?
It doesn't live up to the hype. I
I don't think.
guess.
Yeah, I don't think it lived up to the hype. People
I
were
had
like,
no
"This is a
hype,
good one."
so it beat my 0 expectations.
I liked it better than some. I stopped watching. I'm not caught up on this current season, whatever
Yeah.
it is, but I thought it was better than the last new one I've seen. So
Sure.
I'll give it that.
I'm a little less high on it than I was at the top of the show because you did make some valid points. You were right, Dan.
Yeah, we
you ma-
murder to dissect. You know?
Yeah. No, I came off. The high went away.
Yeah,
I
right.
came
I'm
down
glad to harsh your buzz.
you harshed my buzz.
That's
I came
why
down
I'm
from my
here.
high, but I still think it is definitely one of the least worst episodes we've covered.
I think it could have been. I really wish it was the series finale, just mic drop and.
And just no more bad episodes. They wouldn't have made that great episode where they go to Rigel 7.
I hope they get it right, but I'm sure whatever they do
I-
will be disappointing.
I feel like it was maybe a precursor to later on when they do they do 2 Halloween episodes and one is like a regular episode of them experiencing Halloween.
Which is a good episode.
Yeah, or at least worse
I believe
for,
it's
for
still
over
our
a year
current
now.
least
Yeah.
worst. Yeah. Well, Jack, it's time to see if this is going to top it because I think it's time to rank this episode.
All right,
How are we going to do that, Jack?
we're gonna use the hippo scale.
The hippo scale, looking at the humor, the integrity, the personality. Nope.
Personality, walk the personality.
The humor, the integrity, the production values, and the originality, which is what I was trying
Remember,
to say.
it's not an accurate scale. Originality also means story structure.
No, it's super
And
accurate.
production also
It's
means
very, very
acting and
accurate.
voice acting. Integrity also means emotional beats. It's a
Absolutely.
whole thing.
It's a whole thing. All right, so we are ready to go here. And Holidays of Future Past. Jack, would you put 2 minutes on the clock?
Happy holidays! It's the holiday season. The depth charges
Ladies
in
and
the
gentlemen, the
basement.
ghost of Bing Crosby is here.
Bing,
/ Grufik.
Bing Grufik, I hope you stick around for many episodes to come.
This is it.
Not just
He's gonna
Christmas.
come and go like Tron Krogstein and Freak Johnson and all the rest.
Wait a minute, I forgot. You can cut this if you want. Last week I had one in the opening, and I don't remember what it was.
I don't
It was
care. I don't know.
Isn't one of them a dentist?
Yeah, I think that was last week.
That doesn't sound any remotely familiar to me.
You were like, no, it's not a thing. Don't make it a thing. It was something Johnson. I don't remember, but not Freak Johnson. All right, anyway.
When the characters start having the same last name but aren't related, you know it's time to dial it
The
back.
well is dry.
Dial it back.
I can come up with a couple more
No,
voices.
you can't. I mean, you can, but don't.
All right, so let's do this. So thank you, Bing Crosby. We got 2 minutes on the clock. Let's look at the humor of this episode, 0 to 5 scale. We're going to start with Cara. 0 is the worst, 5 is the best. Cara, what do you think for the humor of this episode?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
3.5, above average.
Well, for it, gag chuckle.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty funny episode. Not everything works, but a lot of it does. Jack, what are you
I'm
thinking?
gonna give it a 3.
3. I might, it's interesting. I thought I liked this episode a little less than you did. I think I'm also kind of leaning towards 3.5.
Yeah, it's funny. It wasn't that funny. Wasn't that many funny. Again, 3 is above average.
Yeah.
But compared to a 4 or 5, a lot less jokes.
Yeah, I'm going
jokes.
to go with 3.5.
Maybe 3.5 because
compared to how many other episodes we've watched that are just not funny.
yeah, and we do deduct points for actively bad jokes, which just had none. I mean, there was a couple extra beat alarms.
There's a couple things that didn't work as well.
3. I'm fine with 3.
I'm almost tempted to go to 4, but I won't.
No, it's-
But let's look at the integrity. 0 to 5. Cara, what are you thinking?
3.
3, just above average. We're thinking 3. Jack, what are you thinking?
I'm torn between 3.5 and 4 because I think the integrity
Really?
is really solid. I like again Marge's idea of wanting the family together, Homer being sober and getting along with the grandkids, Bart and Lisa having their estrangement with their kids. All of this is great, so I really want to give it a higher score. But they didn't do the work. They didn't earn it. They didn't do enough work with it. It's there, and they didn't nail it. And also the emotional beats, like the treehouse scene, could have been stronger. So it's so close to a 4, but I don't know if it earned a 4.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it as high as a 4, but I think I'm kind of with you. I'll give it a 3.5. Like, the problems with this episode were not the integrity. It was just kind of that I wish they had done more with it, which is going to kind of go into more of the storytelling and the originality. So I'll hold my negative reviews
You know
for
what?
that.
Can I change mine to
Yeah.
3.5?
There you go.
swayed me.
I'm gonna go 3.5 instead of doing the 4. And I think the stuff I really liked, all that groundwork they laid, is story structure. And I think I'll probably give them extra points there.
Sure.
Spoilers for 10 seconds.
Oh, no. No spoiler. Hashtag no spoilers. Let's talk about the production values of this episode, 0 to 5. Kara, what are we thinking?
Pass. No.
Pass. You can pass. You can come back.
Yeah, I gotta think. I guess it had high production.
I love the airport sequence with the Mad Max.
I want to give that a 4. There were pieces that were 4 worthy. So
That would be like
agreeing
a
with
4,
you.
4.5 to me, and then the Google would be maybe a 5 for me. So I'm gonna give it a 4 for an average.
I'm also going to give it a 4 because I think
Possibly 4.5.
What worked best for me in this episode were the visual gags and the designs and kind of those
Yep,
things.
I loved
like
Milhouse and
Penny
Burka.
Hilton,
Yeah.
the Mad Max.
I might go
flying.
4.5. The voice acting wasn't great.
I
with the
could
drunk
be
scene.
talked into a 4.5 to be honest with you because I apparently gave Halloween of Horrors a 5 in production values.
Wow.
And I don't know if I've ever given a 4.5. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
The only reason I might not give it a 4.5 is as much as I love the gags. Was there any? Did the direction of the episode serve the story or the gags in any way?
I don't know. I mean, they did a lot of interesting things, like the montage of the cards.
True.
That was
That's
nice.
true.
That's a good way of visual
Fuck it,
storytelling.
4.5.
I'm going to also say 4.5. I love how at the beginning
It's the
we
giving
were like,
season.
In the beginning, you and I had clearly different opinions on this episode, and now we're giving the exact same ratings.
It's just like
Christmas
how
brings people together.
if you
true,
just
it's
start
true.
talking nonsense, eventually we're all just start talking in unison at the same time.
Yeah, it's true. All right, finally, the originality. This might be where we have the most discrepancies. Kara, what are you thinking? Bearing in mind, this will take in any storytelling problems as well. 0 to 5.
I really think this has got to be my lowest score.
I'm with you on that one.
But I'm not a mean person.
You're on a show called Worst Episode Ever.
So 4.9
where we
is your
talk about the stupid asshole
I give
writers.
it a 2.
a 2. Okay, fair. A 2 is fair. Jack, what are you thinking?
I almost went 4.5. Story
4.5 for originality.
Yeah, because
really,
again, they're original plots we've never seen before. Basically, what is Lisa like if she has an angsty teenage daughter? What's Bart like estranged from his kids? What's Homer like sober? I mean, we've seen Duffless, but like, what's Homer like after
term.
decades of realizing the error of his ways?
Right.
I love the story structure of a stereotypical 80s 90s Christmas movie. Even the Maggie plot, which I wasn't crazy about, just fit the puzzle so well. Everything fit perfectly. The reason I'm not going to go 4.5 is because you're right, they didn't do some of the legwork. They didn't quite earn everything.
Yeah.
That first act could have been set up better. The framing device for the future episode, and it's a future episode, that's not original
For sure,
So
yeah.
I will bring it down from a 4.5 to a 4.
I think a 4 is way too high because I think there are a lot of problems. My biggest problems, we've said this a number of times already, but my biggest problems in this episode are that it doesn't come together. There's not as much work done up front for payoffs that come at the end, and everything kind of felt shoehorned in.
That's why I'm bringing
Pop,
it
pop,
down.
pop, pop.
To
So
a 4.
I'm going to go below average. I think I'm going to agree with Kara on this one. I'm going to say
you guys
a 2.
are wrong.
No, it's
This
below
is-
average.
You want to
because
fight about it?
You guys are making the same mistake they made when they turned Mary away from the manger, if any of them had existed.
They turned her away from the inn.
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's
why
right,
she
that's
had.
right.
I'm
She was in
Jewish,
the
and I
manger?
know that.
I'm a level 7 Christian. I know the real true history of Christmas. They actually
Yeah.
also turned her away from the manger, and she had Super Jesus.
You got to get to OT8, bro. That's when you learn about super Jesus.
SSJ.
What? WWSSJD.
Future Perfect. WWSSJWHBD. What would Super Jesus would have done?
Okay, Okay, so we have crunched our numbers, and this episode, Holidays of Future Past, has ranked as a slightly better episode than Sunday Cruddy Sunday, and a slightly worse episode than Bart's New Friend. That puts it as number 85. 85. I'm slurring over my words because I'm so excited for Christmas.
I think your
Number
guys,
85.
Yeah, your guys would do a lot more down this episode than I was. I honestly would put this in the top 3, but it makes sense that we call it our least worst episode ever, because even this quote unquote top 10, they're not great episodes.
I mean,
No, they are not.
Yeah,
Even Halloween Horror is our least worst episode. It's like if I never saw it again, I'd be fine. I have 150
That's a
other
good
great
episode.
It's good, but I don't need it. I have 150 better episodes.
All right. Well, we'll get to those eventually. So that's going to do it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. We want to thank Cara for being our guest.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me.
Cara was a recent guest on 90s Percentile, so you guys should check that out. It was a fantastic episode.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Dan's winking to me because we haven't recorded it yet.
Cut that out of it.
Don't tell them.
Sorry, I have no need for fourth walls.
Cara, is there anything you would like to plug or anything you want to get out into the world?
Well, I proudly work for a little wine publication, Wine
Okay.
Enthusiast, and they recently started a podcast. So you go to winemag.podcast if you want to learn about wine and hear what the
Wine Mag-
editors.
what was it again?
It's winemag.com/podcast.
I drink
so check that
wine.
out.
I drink red wine with ice. That's how I drink it.
That's the wrong way to drink
That's how-
red wine.
That's how it's just the only way it tastes good.
Are you like a menopausal woman?
I am. I'm both.
Finally, we're getting to the root of my burning question.
I'm a woman past her time.
What you need is a dual zone wine refrigerator, but that's the dual zone wine
Oh,
refrigerator.
So buy things on
podcast.
Amazon so I can afford
There you
that.
go. Well, that's a perfect time as any to plug our Amazon page. Guys, if you want to support the show, you go to wepodcast.com. Click our Amazon links. It's weepodcast.com and shop on Amazon like you normally would. If that's too many fucking steps for you, you just go right to amazon.wepodcast.com. That'll take you right to Amazon. Buy those last minute Christmas presents. Buy them for us.
It really helps, especially during holiday season.
Yes, definitely.
Get that 4%.
We need that money. And if you want to support us in other ways, you can do that. You can go to iTunes, rate us 5 stars. Tell your friends.
Give us some ratings.
That's an easy one.
So tell your friends. If you know your friends who like podcasts, or like The Simpsons, tells. If you see a lot of post-classic discussions and articles and clickbait and shit like that, throw a link in the comment section. Go check
Sure.
out wepodcast.com.
Yeah,
Spread
if
the
you need-
word.
if you need
Word of
cheap-
mouth is more important than anything.
If you need a cheap present for your friend, just
tell
tell
them.
them about the podcast.
That's a gift for
Write
life.
it in a card and
A
just
gift-
write it down. WePodcast.com. Don't even tell them what it is.
A donation has been
Let them
made,
find
been made in your name to the We Studios.
We definitely take donations.
I'm at Jackie No Breaks.
I'm at Then Dan Says. You can follow the show. We're at We Studios Pod,
Yes.
right?
Yep. The pod is short for podcast.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And check that out. You can also check out our subreddit, which is reddit.com/worst episode ever.
Yeah, fun little comment section there. Nice little community growing
We have a nice
there.
little community there, so we're in there all the time. If you want to talk to us, that's probably the best way to do it.
All right. And Cara, are you on Twitter?
I am. I'm
I know you are,
at.
but,
I'm
it's rhetorical.
At Cara Page. That's with a C. C-A-R-A.
And with an I?
Page. Yeah, P-A-I-G. So it's C-A.
I guess I should. I guess I shouldn't be
All right,
so.
let's spell it from the top, everybody.
I guess when I say with an I, the I could be anywhere.
You can cut that, right?
No, it's gonna be there.
We'll probably keep it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's at C-A-R-A-P-A-I-G-E.
There you go.
All right, very good.
If you want me on Instagram, you add an MC at the end. So-
Okay.
All right. So we're not going to cut that, but you can tell us to cut everything else if you want.
Can I?
Well, before we do that, we should probably say what episode we're going to do next time.
yeah.
So thanks so much, Cara, for being here. We're going to be back next time for our New Year's episode, actually.
Wow, is it
after
that time
Christmas.
again?
It's that time.
BP3?
BP3. We will probably be drunk. We'll probably Periscope it, so stay
Yeah.
tuned to our social media. We'll
Or
let
maybe
you know.
YouTube it or Facebook it.
Yeah.
All of
which
them. You can do YouTube Live, you know.
We can.
we only have certain.
One can. I don't know if we can, because we've tried to figure it out.
We're barely able to get the Periscope on board.
But we are going to be doing an episode from season 27, pretty recent one,
Ooh.
called The Girl Code.
Ah.
I know next to nothing about it.
Like the Doug Colbert code.
Yeah, and we're going to be drinking while we watch it because it's our New Year's episode.
We're
so
going to
that
be
should
drinking.
exciting.
We're going to be drinking some Screech honey rum that
yes,
Cara
that
was
Cara
nice
brought
enough to bring
us. So thank you so much for that. So
It's,
you'll
it's
be...
Canadian.
Oh, that's good.
They know how to make rum because they're all drunks.
That's right. All right, so that is it. So yeah, how do we end the show, Jack? I don't even remember.
I think Cara knows.
Cut all that.
No, that's not it. Wait, was that not intentional? I thought you were doing a bit.
this is all staying in. This is all
That's
the end of the
3
show.
words. You blew it. The whole reason we had you on is because you're one of our biggest fans who knows all our bits.
I choked.
Totally choked. The only way that could have gone worse is if you were like, cart all this or something.
Caught Alice?
Do you want one? We'll give you one more. We'll give you one more chance.
I accept defeat.
All right.
Oh, another grandchild. How special.
Careful how you shut the door. It upsets the children.